It's not like democratic backsliding that we are experiencing in this country, but this is Ivanishvili's autocratic regime.
I'd rather go to prison than bend my knee.
They are lost in translation. They are lost in their message.
Today you say the German ambassador is a Nazi. Tomorrow you say that, the British ambassador is imperialist. And then you say that French ambassador is a neo-colonialist.
Regardless what Ivanishvili's regime is doing, we will directly fund Georgian democracy.
I'm eating hope 3 times a day now for the breakfast, dinner, and I'm tired. If you want to be buddies with Trump administration, you don't go full BFF mode with China. You can't.
Hello and welcome to Talk Georgia Question Time with me, Giorgi Rukhadze.
And with me, Nodar Kharshiladze.
This is a special edition of Talk Georgia where Nodar and I will be answering your questions about Georgian and international politics.
It is brought to you by Droeba Media Group, trusted source of analytics and news.
And by GSAC, a think tank offering comprehensive political analysis of Georgia and wider Black Sea region, also academic and practical training for postgraduate students and mid-career professionals. By the way, if you would like to become sponsor to Talk Georgia and your name and logo appear on the screen, do not hesitate to contact us.
And now, time for your questions.
Okay, let's go to the questions, which we've got plenty of them. And by the way, if you would like to send us your questions, so you see the email on the screen, which is talkgeorgia1@gmail.com. And Nodar and I will be answering them on the next show. Now let's get to the questions. And the first question came to us from Anna, which goes like this. Nika Guaramia is now the 3rd opposition leader jailed. 20-year-old Mate Davidze got 4.5 years for nothing. People are being fined for Facebook posts. Are we waking up in Chelyabinsk? How should we and our Western allies respond to this?
It's a very complex question about responding on it, of course. I mean, we are in a sense in Chelyabinsk already.
Yeah, so we are not waking up. We already woke up in Chelyabinsk, sadly.
Yeah, it's more and more now reminds us Belarus or Russia of the early stages of going to this path. And jailing of politicians, jailing of young activists. I mean, this wonderful young kid, he got like 4.5 years in the prison for, as you said, absolutely nothing. And it's horrible. And I don't think that there is any doubt that we are not in Georgia in our understanding of the world. Okay, Georgia used to be always a bit messy here and there, but we know that there was some general sense of pride and honor and understanding, and you would be quite okay doing some activism things, but no more. I mean, last year changed it, and now people are fined quite heavily, as you said, because of the posts in Facebook. So it's a direct oppression of the freedom of the speech and expression of the one's mind. So what we should do? Well, it's a very a classical textbook gives you 2 answers. One answer is political process, and second answer is the civil disobedience. In different forms. I don't think that any of those worked so far, but that doesn't mean that we should not try. There is no other way here. Submission is the worst of all scenarios. We were discussing yesterday with some of our NGO colleagues that what we're gonna do, and I said I'd rather go to prison than bend my knee, because I don't think that it will help anybody, including those who are bending their knees, and that will not save them in the long term. So I think that what we are lacking now and what is needed to be done, it's we don't have a leader, okay? We don't have a leader or leaders. With all due respect to opposition, facts speak for themselves. So far, nobody managed to put together some kind of resistance system which would put Georgian dream, if not on defensive, at least on a state of discomfort. Only discomfort they are having now, it's our international partners. Internally, there were some interesting movements and some splashes of the jolts of the human protest, but they were very short term, impressive, but not sustainable. So I don't think that internally we managed as a society to put together any functional mechanism for protest. Now outside, and I think that we have a next question for that as well, I think West should continue what they do, and it's quite working. They should continue to extract heavy price from Georgia Dream for what they're doing, and they should put more pressure. Non-recognition, the more pressure, sanctions, all of that is quite discomforting for Georgian Dream. And they are very clumsy in attempts to hide it, but it's very obvious that it is. So what would you add?
I agree with you that, okay, internally, so we need to organized resistance is the answer. So far, we have some kind of resistance, but it is not organized, and it is not sustainable. So we need to have organized resistance, and I think it should be organized by the political parties, because still...
Ideally, yes.
Again, ideally, not ideally, well, we have at least 3 political parties who are, and plus Gacharia's party, basically, who had certain resources, human, financial,
but they
whatever,
failed.
And they need to organize it.
Okay, let me ask you a question. These 6 months, they failed to do anything significant. I mean, what gives you hope that they will improve tomorrow?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that it gives me hope. I'm saying what should be done. And who should take leadership in organizing, at least. Okay, and these should be the political parties.
Okay, let's...
Second, 3 leaders, as mentioned in the question, including Nika Guaramia, who was detained yesterday, are behind the bars from one political coalition. Okay, I believe that this political coalition at least has how many members? 10,000?
Should be more, but yeah, fine.
Organized resistance means that, okay, these 10,000 people or whatever do something in an organized manner to respond to their leaders being imprisoned. I mean, it could be anything. For example, I mean, maybe it's not, I mean, in the what questions also says here is that, okay, people are not jailed yet, but I mean, some people are jailed for verbal insults. And the Facebook, if today people are not jailed for Facebook posts, tomorrow it will be reality. Today they are fined. But I think that the response should be that, okay, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people should commit the same crime and push the Georgian Dream in a situation that either they will have to react to the 50,000 people or back down. So this is what organized resistance is, whether it is Facebook posts or whether it is boycotting something or blocking the road or anything, right? So I think that this is the way to continue. Parties need to use their human and whatever financial resources to organize this kind of resistance, together with the civil society, obviously, and an active people. Okay, because not a lot of time is left. As you absolutely rightly mentioned, we've woken up in Chelyabinsk already. So it's not that we're not waiting that to happen. As for the international response, I think you said that, well, there is a certain pressure from the European Union, from United States, sanctions over some of those so-called high-ranking Georgian Dream officials, but it's clear it's not enough. And I think that there are 2 things that our Western allies should consider, in my opinion. The first is to call a spade a spade. Mm-hmm. Okay, recognition, non-recognition of Ivanishvili's regime is just one thing, and I think it expired itself somehow. I think most important thing now is that we will have to face it, that this illegitimate or whatever regime is, they are de facto running the country. So what the Western partners should do is to name it. What kind of regime is this? It's not like democratic backsliding that we are experiencing in this country, but this is Ivanishvili's autocratic regime, right? You can extend it to further than say that it is the Ivanishvili's autocratic regime that is local office of the Kremlin. Okay, but whatever you call it, you have to call it a name. Once you established that it is Ivanishvili's autocratic regime, then you have to start acting as you are acting with autocratic regimes. So the problem, I think, what is now happening with the Western response is that they are putting pressure on the regime, they are acting as if this regime was still kind of semi-democratic something, and the problem was Georgia's democratic, if the problem was Georgia's democratic backsliding. In fact, the problem is consolidation of dictatorship. And this is what the wording from the West should be, first. And second, once you said that this is the dictatorial regime or autocratic regime, again, you have to put in place all the leverage that you put in place with Belarus, for example, and Lukashenko, with Russia. Okay, how the Western allies treat Lukashenko's regime, Aliyev's regime, for example, the Putin's regime, the response should be exactly the same nature to the Ivanishvili's regime as well. And as I mentioned, again, I believe that the Western world still holds very strong leverage over Georgia. If they start activating it, I think it will make a difference. But it is important to activate it now. Because if you give a space and time to the Georgian dream, they will have enough time and leverage to use it against the pro-Western forces in Georgia and against our international partners. Because Georgian dream no longer have international partners in the democratic world. Georgia has. But, yeah. So I think that the Western response also needs to be reshaped based on what is happening in Georgia.
That puts us to second question. That Prime Minister Tusk of Poland, Prime Minister of Poland, Donald Tusk, I think it would be better if that, I mean, I understand Beso that wanted, there is no such position as a Prime Minister Tusk of Poland, says that he's working on a coalition to support to suspend Georgia's visa-free travel with the EU. How real is the threat and how soon could it happen? So what do you think?
Okay, I think it is a very real threat and it can happen pretty soon. Okay, my take on this is this. If we are lucky, it might happen next year in winter or in spring. If we are not lucky, then it will happen this autumn. And let me explain, what is the situation about this visa-free travel. Of course, I mean, the Prime Minister Tusk is not the only person who he's talking about, but he's the Prime Minister who's got enough weight to put this coalition together.
He was in charge of EU for 8 years.
Absolutely, and Poland is the EU chair country.
For 2 more weeks, yeah.
Yeah. So again, and also we need to think about this, that putting this coalition together, it's not the regular coalition, or it's not the issue which needs the consensus in the council. So it needs double majority, which is pretty easy to put together. Of course, there are a number of states who are saying that, that they don't want Georgian people to suffer and the Georgian people to pay the price for something that the Georgian dream is doing. But sadly, there is also an emerging camp in the European, I would say, Parliament and also the Council and the capitals, who are saying that the Georgian people are already suffering. And the prime example is this, that, okay, more than 60 people are behind the bars for nothing. Their families, their, the friends are suffering. People are already sent to prison for 5 years for nothing. And Mate Davidze, 20-year-old young man, is a prime example.
He's 21.
21, this is what I said. This is how people are suffering, actually. And, okay, if you want this suffering to stop, you have to make steps. And suspending visa-free travel could be one of such steps, by the way. It is important also to dig into what Prime Minister Tusk said. What he said, that he's putting a coalition together to suspend or limit Georgia's visa-free travel. And here I think limiting Georgia's visa-free travel could be an interesting option.
But I think it's harder. It's easier technically to be very hard.
It is technically harder, but I think it will be a spot-on response. For example, something that comes to my mind is that visa on arrival option, which based on who you are, right? And then if you directly or indirectly are connected with Ivanishvili's autocratic regime or supporting it, well, in that case, it could be a very interesting reason not to let you in the European Union. So, and it could be a very interesting response. But I understand that it's difficult to execute. It's, I would say, costly. But if the European Union doesn't want, at least some of the Georgian people to suffer, some of those who are fighting against Ivanishvili's regime, then limiting visa-free travel would be the ideal option. But, well, that's kind of difficult. So two other things that needs to be mentioned about this visa-free travel is that regardless it's Prime Minister Tusk or some other European leaders, it's just a matter of time. Because where Georgia is going now, suspending visa-free travel will be inevitable anyway. So it will happen this autumn or next summer or whenever, it will happen. And I don't really, we many times explained that, okay, for example, Georgia didn't get visa-free travel because the Georgian people are good people, because we did certain reforms, we reached certain level of democracy, etc., etc. So if you take a look in the region and see, autocracies don't have visa-free travel with the European Union, so it's just a matter of time. So again, I think people also need to realize, including supporters of the Georgian dream, that this is going to happen if Ivanishvili and his allies stay in power. Okay, so I think that this is my take on this. What do you think about it?
Well, I think that one thing is obvious what's happening, and you mentioned it in previous comment, and that is a very important part, that calling it its name. Okay, I think that European Union, majority of it at least, and influential people like Tusk are very close to define current government and Bidzina Ivanishvili's regime officially. Once it is deemed so, then of course suspension of visa liberalization, as you also mentioned, it's a matter of the procedure and time. Because once you're a regime, you can't be, even freezing of all things connected to status of the candidacy is also a matter of the time. So I think that is a step which Europe is now strongly considers, and with this new approach, which now gives more sway to Commission's decision in order to overcome the Hungary's abuse of the power of the consensus, I think that will make things way easier for you to act. And
absolutely. Yeah, by the way, this new regulation basically authorizes the Commission to make decision on suspension of visa-free travel without even asking the Council.
And I think that from your perspective, if we put ourselves in their shoes, it's important to send a message that we will not tolerate another Hungary. Okay, we have one and it's enough. I mean, and because Slovakia is also part of the EU, there is a hard to deal with that. But even if at candidacy status, so which is infancy of the European Union, we didn't even open chapters. Yeah?
No.
You start behaving like that, this will not be tolerated. So I think that you want to send this kind of message to everybody, to all future candidates and partners, including Caucasus, Balkans, or Maghreb, which would never hardly be a candidate, but could be a partner countries. So, and they will make Georgian Dream example. And Georgian Dream is very convenient example to be, because they do everything in their power to make you more angry. I mean, personal attacks, assaults. I mean, the British ambassador was just declared.
But there's a question about that, so we'll come to that. But again, not only British ambassadors, EU ambassador, German ambassador. So it's kind of a trend.
It is a very, very strange trend, and we discussed it last time. Even Soviets did not do such things. So attacking, I think that guys in charge now are so incompetent and so immature. I mean, the Georgian Dream. They think that they can get away with that. I think that pretty soon they will understand that they are deeply mistaken.
Yeah. All right, let's move to the next question, which is here and which came to us from Keso. And it runs like this. If Kobakhidze claims that communist China is a model country, then why does he compare the European Parliament, which he clearly despises, to a Soviet institution? What exactly is the message here?
Well,
it's an interesting question because, I mean, China is a communist China. If communist China is a model country, then what's wrong with the Soviet parliament, for example?
Well, I think that, again, this is the continuation of what we just discussed, that immaturity and the lack of understanding. I mean, look at the Orban or Fico, they are also playing this game, but they are playing it way more accurately. They know where to push, they know where to back up. I mean, we thought the Georgian Dream also knew it, but with this team of the people in charge, they don't, not anymore. So problem here is that we are continuing to have a situation where they go deeper and deeper in this rabbit hole. They are digging it for themselves. From personal attacks now, they are declaring China as a model state and declaring that EU is the Soviet Union. This is all been recorded, and including the China's things. I mean, if you want to be buddies with Trump administration, you don't go full BBF mode with BFF mode with China. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's either. You can't do both. I mean,
no.
So. Now, question comes here, is it part of the strategy? It cannot be. I mean, strategy could be to stay in power regardless of everything. That is understandable strategy, but that's not strategy, that's a goal. Strategy should be doing things to enforce your positions, which Georgia Dream used to do. Now it looks like that it's messy, chaotic. There are some speaking heads, which sometimes they talk... They walk the line and they talk general messages which are sent to their phones, but sometimes these people improvise. And oh my God, they improvise. Look at that. I mean, the Soviet Union, now European Union, and China being the champion of democracy. So that is, I think, also syndrome or result of this Georgian Dream's inability to maintain high quality people. They are... I don't want to use this word, but they're very cheap in their remarks. Okay, it's a level of the provincial school, not even a university. And they, when somebody from website somewhere in Oklahoma or Alabama does that, okay, but when you are a chairman of parliament of the European candidate country, you should not scoop yourself that low. But if you do, then nobody gonna pay any respect or attention. You're a baboon. I mean, no more serious guy to talk with. And I think that's where they put themselves for the moment.
Oh. Yeah, I agree with you. And more than that, I think they are lost in translation. Yeah. They are lost in their message. Again, when Kobakhidze said about these nice things about China, that was some kind of conference here. We had this Chinese 23rd deputy prime minister or something was present, and he wanted to please him. But I think there is a deeper issue here. It's not just pleasing the Chinese, but this is what Kobakhidze wants to do with Georgia, or Ivanishvili wants to do with Georgia more precisely. Because why China is a model country? Because China is a one-party state. So, and Ivanishvili wants Georgia to be a one-party state. I don't know if you remember that interview by him, it was a few days before the elections, when he said that I don't understand why there is a need for many parties. So we have a party here and all good people could come here. Well, this is what he said. And also, let's don't forget that Ivanishvili subscribed Georgia to be part of Russia when the war started in Ukraine. So when Russia broke into Ukraine, Ivanishvili believed that the story would be over in a week. And he would surrender. And as a consolation prize, he would most likely get the Georgian kingship. And he viceroyship, and then he would run the country until the end of his days, and then we will get the Bidzina II or first Uta, and then Bidzina II or whatever. So I mean, again, it's not by chance that they are praising China, because it is a one-party state where the human rights are abused, where. Right. I mean, I don't really want to continue because I think you are going to China tomorrow.
Yes, please make sure that they let me in. So,
right. But again and again, this is what they want Georgia to be like. But also, what Kobakhidze understands and knows that there is no negative feelings about China in Georgia. For example, we never fought against Chinese. China never occupied part of Georgia.
But neither there are some very positive feelings as well.
But about the negative feelings in Georgia is about Soviet Union. So, and this is why, because of these negative feelings, he attributed to European Parliament to Soviet institution. So he wants his supporters and the Georgian dream. I mean, the circle to understand that. European Parliament is bad, it's kind of Soviet, but China is good. It's communist, but still good, because we don't have negative connotations with China. So I think that this is the very elementary explanation, from my point of view, what is message here.
Here, I will add one thing that this goes to primitivism and to the level of the Georgian dream which they operate. And they think that people are also primitive, so they're gonna eat it up. And I think that people who could come up with complicated messages and complicated strategies to deliver those messages are long gone from Georgian dream. They might hire some people, but there is only so much this hired force can do. They can put together strategy and devices, but you need to execute it. And execution by Georgian dream is very poor. So I think that there was this general strategy to bring China as a alternative superpower, that to show the world that we are not alone, because if Americans, in case of emergency, that Trump cannot be swayed, and this emergency now is ongoing, they could not do it, to show them that China can be friend. However, as you rightfully said, there are no negative feelings toward China, but that's upside for Georgia. But downside is that people don't know and don't care much for the moment for the region. They're so preoccupied with that. So I think that nobody would take it seriously that, America can be replaced by China here. Not because it's impossible, which is for the moment, because nobody buys that. Nobody believes that is a even thing. So I think that this is the Chinese card they're trying to play for last 2 years. It's a very funny one, and I think China is also enjoys looking at it like that. But I don't think that this is credible for even their own people, because we don't have money sent from China here, like from European Union and America. We don't have lots of Georgians going there. We don't have lots of Chinese living in Georgia. So there is nothing to show you the Chinese increased presence in Georgia. So what are the steps then? So some road projects somewhere in the middle of the nowhere. I mean, nobody cares about them. So I think that that's the loser's game. I don't think that the Chinese perspective is realistic, and I don't think the Georgian dream is selling it well.
Yeah, agree. So do you want to move to the next question?
Yep. Just let me find it. So next question was from Keso, yes?
I think we read out Keso already, so I think next one is Vano.
Vano, yes, Vano, yeah. When Russia's SVR and Georgian Dream attack Western embassies using the exact same language, how do their supporters not see their echoing the Kremlin? And why do European capitals not react with their ambassadors are attacked like that? Yeah, I think that I would be way more interested in the second part of this question. I mean, first of all, I don't think that it's only SVR. I think that Medvedev is above SVR. He is a major political former president of the Russia. And if you take Georgian Dream messages, they are one-to-one with Medvedev messages.
Absolutely. Let me give a bit of a background story to this, because not all the audience and listeners might know what's going on here. Again, the Russian Foreign Intelligence Service, is it Foreign Intelligence Service?
Служба внешней разведки, yes.
Yeah. I think it was about 10 days ago, they talked to TASS agency saying that the United Kingdom, by the use of their embassy and their grants that are given to the local organizations, they were staging a coup d'etat. Once this statement came out, the next day Papuashvili attacked British ambassador, saying exactly that. But it's not only that, I mean, it continued then to the German ambassador, who met Razden Kuprashvili, who is the head of the anti-corruption agency. This is the agency that is designed to control the grants and all that stuff. There was tough conversation, as I know, on that meeting. Then there was another attack on the EU ambassador. It was a few days ago. By the way, it was when dozens of people were taken to court for Facebook posts, like our colleagues and journalists and politicians. What Papuashvili said was that it was the EU funding the hate speech. And then it continued again with the British attack on a British ambassador, pressurizing him to unveil all the information about 2024 and 2025, who are funded by the British money. So, I mean, that's the story behind this question, I think. And I think more, I mean, it's not only because of the grants that the ambassadors are attacked, but because of some critical remarks or critical steps that their countries take against Ivanishvili's regime. But please go ahead, because I mean, I just gave a background story to the thing.
Well, I think this is again part of this very strange and quite silly game Georgian Dream continues to play, when they target individual countries or their representatives in Georgia or their government ministers. Like I think Zakrua was calling some senators and some parliamentarians insulting names. They are trying to show the Georgian people that they are not afraid, that they are macho type of guys, and they're trying to say that, yeah, whatever comes, we're here. So it's quite a cheap and actually very ill executed trick. But that's the only game they have left. I mean, from the political populism now they are relegated to street populism, which is calling names and repeating Russian messages. I mean, this is very interesting that our chairman of so-called chairman of parliament is repeating exactly what Russian special services said. I mean, the foreign intelligence agency. So I think that most of them understand that it's getting late, okay, and soon they might find themselves out in the cold. But they are so deep in that, with corruption, with this jailing people, that they don't see any way back. So that could be another topic of conversation, that I think that any force which could be organized resistance should tempt some of them with way back and with free jail cards, so they could start flipping on each other, which is a part of the strategy, of course. But for the moment, because there is no other side, they can't even switch sides to go to where? I mean, to prison with Guarami? I mean, there is no other side. So until there is no other side, things will continue to escalate on a verbal level and on the actual level. Towards international community, there is a verbal escalation. There is a rumor now about a new law which will limit the number of diplomats by each embassy. They already spoke about it, if you remember, that Shatirishvili said that why US needs to have so much
stuff here.
Yeah, so many people and so much infrastructure. So again, until there is no alternative. Okay, let me go like this. Most of the Georgian dream are opportunists. Okay, Bidzina, I believe now that he believes what he sells, and that's very dangerous. Kobakhidze behaves like he believes what he sells. I don't know. Papuashvili, it's obvious that he does not, but he has to go there. And lower you go, less belief you'll find in people in this deep state. But these people have, though they have no alternative, they have nobody to sell their current masters. Okay? There is no buyer. So that's why our first question was important, that political parties, you said, should organize process. It's not happening for the moment.
Sadly, yeah.
Would not happening. So unless there is an organized political, I fully agree with you, organized political process like it was in 2012, which was having some already, let's say, the shapes of alternative, okay, when you looked at it. And it did. These people who have no other choice to double down and triple down on the statements. Because if there is no alternative, you do what you are told to do. And today you say the German ambassador is a Nazi, tomorrow you say that, you know, the British ambassador is imperialist, and then you say that French ambassador is neo-colonialist. These kind of things are in pipe now, and they will follow.
Yeah, to be honest, I mean, there is an attempt of organizing this kind of resistance with this council, which is around President Salome Zurabishvili, but this is an attempt. What we don't see is the result. Okay, and well, I think it's not important where the center is, around Zurabishvili or with the parties that cleared the threshold or didn't clear the threshold or somebody else. It should be the political resistance that unites, the civil resistance. Because if political parties don't unite, then I mean, how can you unite civil resistance, which is way more broad?
Let's remove if from there. Political parties do not unite. Now, for last 2 weeks, we have seen that they are arguing with each other about, and we talked about it before we started recording, that about the local elections. So, do you see any prospect for unifications? Honestly, I see more prospects for the further de-unification and further fighting over spending their time and the quite limited resources on each other than on the Georgian dream. That's what happened.
Yeah, sadly, this is what I see. I hope that the Georgian dream will do something so stupid that it would bring some changes on the other side of the political spectrum. Maybe I'm too naive.
No. You are not naive. Your Georgian dream, only thing which saves situation is the absurdity and the total mental collapse of Georgian dream. So they produce so bad results that it keeps reviving opportunities for opposition. On the other hand, I'm eating hope 3 times a day now for the breakfast, dinner, and I'm tired of that. Okay.
Understand. What I want to do, I want to go to the question, Vano's question, the last part of it. And I think you said that it is important. Why do European capitals do not react when their ambassadors are attacked
you
like that?
You worked with them very closely. I mean, what's happening? I mean, why Germans do not say anything strong when people try to physically attack the ambassador.
Okay, so well, I'll start. I think I want to assure you that I am 100% sure that there is a reaction from the capitals, but the people don't see that.
It's
so
delayed.
It's behind the wings, basically. This is how it works. But I think this is a mistake, because when ambassadors are attacked publicly, I mean, I don't mean physical attack, I mean verbal attack, I mean the policy that attacks them. It needs also visual response from the capitals. Well, I understand that that's not a common practice for them, but I think this is something that they should consider, because the ambassadors are not attacked because they want to harm ambassadors. Ambassadors are attacked publicly because to show the public, their supporters, how strong we are. For example, this is a message, and there should be a counter message visible to public. Now I'll move to this, the grant issue, which is, I think, very important issue. The whole idea is that, for example, and I forgot to say that the British embassy basically put out a statement saying that, for example, because instructions or regulations are not clear about this new law, they withdrawn some of the fundings to some of their partners, etc. I think, well, it might be truly what happened, but I think this is the wrong, possibly the wrongest message to put out. Because what it says is that, for example, some of the civil society organizations in Georgia, we are basically fighting against the regime. We are not registering as agents, etc.
Like we are not.
And this is becoming dangerous, because for this we can be fined, we can be even jailed.
We can.
And, for example, our Western partners, etc., are saying that we still are negotiating permissions from the Ivanishvili's government or Ivanishvili's regime to fund some of the organizations. I think the United Kingdom or Germany or EU, I think they need to think twice before giving such message to the Georgian public.
Fully understand.
Yeah, it is why it is important. Look, the reason why this new law was amended or introduced, it was strictly because that the Georgian dream doesn't want the organizations that are democratic forces in Georgia to get funding. So the sole idea of introducing this regulation is to stop funding for them. And it is too naive, for example, to put out this kind of statements or messages that, okay, we are trying to get permission from the Georgian dream to fund you. And I'll tell you more about this. I think this was the mistake that European Union and United Kingdom and United States made when dictatorship was being consolidated in Russia and dictatorship was being consolidated in Belarus, when exactly for the same law they started going to the Kremlin or Lukashenko to ask permissions to fund democratic forces. Because this is something that will never happen. What the right message would be from the European capitals, in my opinion, and United Kingdom, etc., United States, I think United States is a little bit busy with their own going-ons now, but okay, what they should say, maybe behind the wings, they could meet anyone, whatever, but the message should be that regardless what Ivanishvili's regime is doing, we will directly fund Georgian democracy, no matter what. I mean, this should be the message out there, and it would encourage a lot of people in Georgia and a lot of the civil society organizations, and not that, okay, we are asking permissions from the GD, and if we are not getting permissions, or if instructions are not clear, or regulations are not clear, then we are kind of, stopping the funding.
I think that is a very fine point you are making, that they should be very resolute, very tough, because people are waiting that for them, and not to go to this to Georgian Dreams game and meet Rajden Kuprashvili, who is literally nobody, and to discuss on their websites that because of the law. Yeah, they should say that we will continue what we're doing. We will not pay attention to this Georgian dream attempts to build an autocracy here, we will not allow that. That would be a strong message, especially by British, by French, by European Union, delivered Polish and others. And I think we will get there. I mean, more and more contours of this kind of the behavior is there. I think the Georgian dream already crossed all the red lines and burned all the bridges they could. So I think that in the nearest future that would be obvious, that Europeans would start openly disregard Georgian dream and start to finding ways how to continue funding without paying attention to all of that. I mean, that would be a proper signal. Now, what Georgian dream gonna do about it, that we need to see. I mean, will they start arresting us as well as they did political? That is more than possibility. I mean, because we already said that we aren't gonna register. We already said that we aren't gonna close down. I mean, only force can be used against us. I mean, there is no law or there is no regulation which will force me without using actual kinetic force to close down our office. There is no way this will happen. So I think they want to go high stakes, all in, we should also go all in. I mean, there is no other way.
Okay, thank you, Nodar. Thanks
you
for watching us. Thanks for listening to us. Please subscribe to us, and I'll see you next week. Even if we are shut down, we'll continue the show.